I survived a car crash about 3 years ago, and it was the most revealing, interesting experience of my life and made me realize that God is real. And I'm going to explain exactly what happened and how it changed my life, so you can maybe apply these effects without having to go through such a traumatic thing. But it was so powerful to me. Firstly, we're going to need some context of why I was in the car crash. So when I was first learning and discovering letting go, I started a coaching business. That coaching business was around mindset, confidence, voice, and other things. See, I used to be an actor. I used to be an actor before I had an awakening and decided it's time to start serving people. And what happened was, whilst I was growing this coaching business, and it started to do okay, I was also adding some income into my life through gigs, singing. I played Frankie Valli and Jersey Boys, so a lot of people wanted me to sing at weddings, events, and other things, these sort of things. So I was very busy, and that means late nights, and I was driving a lot. And then there was this one fateful night. I've never had any problem, always been safe, not even close to issues. Just had a haircut, so there's some hair on my head, guys. That's funny. So nothing close to these issues, okay? But what happened was on this night, I stayed a bit later to have food, and it was the shortest journey of the whole last 6 months. I was so close to my house, an hour and a half away. And I was driving, and I just started to notice my reaction times were slowing down a little bit. But what happened was I was going through a 50 lane, and suddenly this guy just broke out of nowhere. I did have the distance, but it was a bit wet doing that, and I unfortunately went into the back of them. I hold my hand up. You know, it is to do with me. I don't blame the guy. He did make an extreme emergency stop without needing to, but unfortunately that's what happened. My immediate reaction was I was so frightened. I was so scared, and also I was scared that something had happened to the young man in front of me. Luckily, God willing, none of us were extremely hurt. We were going 50, it was slow, and even though it was an extreme stop, we were still moving. Okay, so that happened, but my whole car was destroyed, and I'd suffered burns from the airbag. Now they'd gone there, and I'd scarred up. Luckily, none had hit my face, but my hands were scarred up. But I want to show you something. There's nothing on them. There's nothing there. My hands have no remnants of it. And why do I bring this to your attention? The car was literally crushed at the front. I had been praying. And I had been praying regularly that I'm divinely protected, divinely safe, guided by God. But here's one thing though. I was saved and I was protected. The police did have to come. They breathalyzed us both. There was no problem, nothing there. But the truth of the matter is what we have to realize and what we have to remember there is it's not just that I was divinely protected, divinely safe, but also there's a part of me that thinks multiple timelines expressed in that one cataclysmic moment where the car was destroyed and written off, the man in front was lucky, and I think it's multiple timelines started to shift. And I truly believe that in one of those expressions, because of how bad my car was, I died. And that's really mad to express that, because what I believe then is that I was transported into this new timeline by divine guidance. And that timeline, even though I didn't know it yet, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, said, time to make a change in this world. Time to really trust yourself and go for it. And that's what I started to do. And if you look back in my YouTube channel, that's when I started to go all in. Now, it's really wild because, yes, I had the scar, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I healed it. But it was that moment where life started to change. Now, I want you to know that sometimes we go through cataclysmic moments. You may be on a healing journey. You may be facing some bankruptcy issues in your business. You may be facing things. But there is multiple expressions of outcomes to this. The more that we claim God, the more that we claim guidance, the more we transform into the other timeline of expression where we start to express ourselves at the highest level. This is what I need you to know. So as that crushing happened. And as it all happened, yes, I was scared. I reacted. I was worried. I was fearful. One of my biggest fears is that I've let go of is authority, due to, my past. So there was an authority fear there. So I thought I was going to get in trouble. I thought I was arrested. I actually surrendered to the idea that I was getting arrested. But through all that and that fear of getting in trouble, I actually came to a great peace. I made it home, and it was a struggle to get home, and there was, nothing was working, but somehow this peace and infinite peace that I've been claiming had washed over me. And I finally decided that I'd been spared for a reason. When I was working in a sales job just after my accountancy, I say this with no ego, but it's just interesting how God sends you signs. I was in a job that I didn't like, and I left not long after this Christmas event. But at that event, there was an award ceremony. It said most likely to change the world was one of the awards, And it was so surreal, because on the night it said the nominees are the owner of the company, the director of the company, and Michael Watson, who was a lowly, sales rep who was just doing a few Instagram videos on his walk to work. And that blew my mind, because I was like, what is going on? That was a couple of years before. I didn't take the gentle signs. So God sent me something massive. Now, the car was a write-off. I had a massive burn on my hand. And the problem is, I don't know if I have a picture of it somewhere. But, I was working on this gig, and this one guy at the gig, he said to me, you're going to be scarred for life with that. Because I was a motorbike rider and racer. And I've seen those burns, and it was massive. I mean, my whole hand. Look, that's the non-scarred hand. It was this whole hand here. You can't even tell. He said you'd be scarred for life. And at that point, I was already coaching people on healing and expectation. So I just said, not me. You may have seen it before, but not me. And it was that decision. And then when it healed so perfectly, when it healed so beautifully and effortlessly, I'd seen healing in my clients, myself, I just surrendered to it all. And I said, this has got to be the truth. Then over the coming years, things started to take weight and expand and explore. And I don't tell you any of this because, I'm meant to change the world. I'm having an effect on this audience that I'm building now, 62,000 subscribers, which I am so grateful for, and it's a pleasure to do that. And if I can change one person's life, I've done enough. And after doing all this healing and healing hundreds if not thousands of people now, it is so beautiful to see it. And I praise God and I surrender to God in that way. And I don't take responsibility for anything that's happening right now. I give it over to God. And that's what I want you to do too. Don't feel like you have to go through something so traumatic to experience this level of awakening. I was already I've had about 4 awakenings, guys. How about you? How many awakenings have you had? Comment down below. But if you want to know how to access this grace, this peace, it's always in you. You do not need to be meditating 20 hours a day to access it. You do not need to have strict structures. You need to make it part of your everyday, every moment life. Gentle awareness, connection, reminders, subconscious cues, these things. Now it's like I just live life and I keep staying in that meditative state, connected state to God, and I feel blessed for it. So I say this to you with love. This car crash was the best experience I ever had, because I truly believe that I died and was rescued and saved. What do you think, guys? Comment down below.